Yes, I also wanted to share my takeaway from the conference at which we presented our project, and I was surprised to hear from the audience and from one of our reviewers that I think there is a sense of confusing proficiency-oriented approach with the communicative approach in teaching, which personally I don't see it as the same. And there was a concern that, one person in the audience voiced about the de-emphasizing the grammar instruction. And to me personally, proficiency approach, oriented approach, does not de-emphasize the grammar instruction. On the other hand, it just puts the grammar instruction outside of the class, but gives it even more value in the sense that by creating, and that's my experience I flipped the classroom in my second year in the fall, and I finally, that's something I planned to do for a while, and I finally recorded the tutorials for my students and uploaded them, and I created the comprehension checks and assignments and activities connected with grammar that I found that we don't have time to do in class, but I still want my students to do that. And I ended up reducing my traditional homework and replacing with my own activities that were more grammar oriented, the grammar that I wanted to focus in class. And what I found that my students really appreciated that. And I didn't have a fear, okay, one student is not in the class, he's missing this important grammar, how is he going to be even doing the homework, right? And some students kept rewatching the tutorials because all learners are different. Some learners need to watch, to pause, process, go back, rewatch, and do it and practice and practice. So for me, it was a revelation. It was eye-opening that this approach really not de-emphasized the grammar. It put a different focus on it, but in a way that students were able to use the grammatical constructions that we were focusing on in the chapter in a more meaningful way in the class, during the class sessions. So, and that was surprising to me to hear that people already kind of who have a certain bias, maybe without knowing exactly what is like proficiency, what it means. And I felt like there should be more education of people what this is and how it is different from communicative oriented approach.
Yeah, in my case, I think it's really important the approach. So how this training changed my approach and teaching languages. So how can I say? So I have that very like grammar based, vocabulary based, like design in my head, and so I was not brave to start with the text. So it's also really important to find like a solid text that which is fits to the actual level, and using so the different approach, like letting the students decide what's important for them, and not like for us, like oh, these are just for grammar vocabs or something like that, because that's the classical way, I think, how we were trained, like when we got the training back in 20 or 30 years ago. So definitely I would say the approach was really important for me.
Also, I remember because like you guys asked us to decide we know the ECFO standard, and then we do the test and then do this curriculum, and you always remind us to align them together. This is very important to me too, because always in my back of my head, everything I say, okay, I have to have a purpose. Why I have to do that.
I just wanted to say one thing that is really has been very helpful, and the format. Why one of the greatest takeaway maybe that I keep thinking about this is the assessment. How you think about the assessment before the curriculum design. Because one thing that students are always afraid of, when you hand out the syllabus, they always want to know when is the tests are going to take place and how they are going to be delivered, and how they get afraid about this. But when we are every day doing things that are very communicative approach, in a very intercultural communicative, and engaging, and the test follows the same pattern, they thinking, well, I don't need to just study for the test one day before, no, because every day they are preparing, every day as they are doing their tasks, as they are coming to class and they have to study, they have to prepare their part. They needed to understand their responsibility on this. They are getting ready for the test. So I see that they feel very calm about this. And the chance they have to practice on their own, this individual time of analyzing grammar and come prepare, it is preparing for not only for the test, but preparing to use the language in life normally.